Oh yeah, brother, you're watching another legendary episode on YouTube channel, Thrand. What are you gonna do when Thrand runs wild on you, brother?
Hey, Thrand here, and we're back with our car hood, as you saw in the other video. And of course we were thinking it, and everybody probably was, wonder what a Bronze Age spear would be. This is a Middle Age bronze spear, like what they were used during the Trojan War. And yes, we still plan on doing that. We're going to be doing an Iliad/Trojan War episode where we analyze what we know historically about it and what Homer said and how we think they actually fought and how the weapons were used. But bronze has really impressed us. We did a video where a lot of people were very, I guess, excited about it. We got 30,000 views in like a day or so, because it was only around 4-something thousand views. But the rest of it jumped up to over 30,000 views in over a day with us cutting with one of the Now A2 swords made by Burridge, who makes them traditionally, like they would have been made back in the day, proper tin and copper mixture. And it's a cold work metal, meaning that once it's cast and poured, the shape, everything afterwards is all the hammer hardening. And I had conversations with him where he explained how it's a crystalline structure, and as you hammer it, it gets harder and harder. Exactly how hard, he's not sure, but at a certain point of hardness, it actually becomes brittle and can crack or break. So it's not as everybody pictures, like the bronze is actually soft on its own. Like modern bronze, like you buy from different shops, is a soft material, and it's not going to behave anything like a hammer-hardened weapon from back in the day, such as like they would have used during the Trojan War, something like Achilles would be proud of that he probably would have had in his hand. But today we've got our middle-aged bronze spears from Burridge, and thank you again, Neil, and I'm glad you appreciated the other videos we did. We're just discovering stuff ourselves, and we do know about hardnesses of metal and so on, but it's hard to judge something that's hammer hardened this way. I mean, you can know Rockwell hardnesses of steel, you can know the hardness of average bronze, you look up different alloys of it, but it's not going to tell you what it's going to be like after it's actually been hammered by the master and made into a weapon, because it varies. The very edge is separate from the actual core and the material structure. Malleable, ductile, I mean, it's totally different than what you would expect. So we're going to test it out today on our car hood, which should be around 20 to 22 gauge steel. Ah! That's my throwing slide technique. And we pierce 20 gauge steel. Okay. Now, I know we've done this in another video. People argued that it might not be 20 gauge and that bronze wouldn't cut steel and that you couldn't pierce it. 20 gauge steel pierced, and tests show that it has to be thrown to go through, according to Christopher Matthews' book. So he immediately assumed, well, something's wrong there. Somebody had to be rushing into somebody and it was braced or something. But that's an initial impact from acceleration. And this bronze spear easily pierced this hood. And that's what it did, walk up the car and stab into it, which is kind of amazing because it's an old bronze weapon, but these things were lethal. I mean, that's the only thing I want to say about it. They were lethal. They worked. I mean, this is cutting through steel, and hammered bronze armor wouldn't be that soft either. So, I mean, I'm impressed. Ah!
Did you hit? You did. You hit double metal.
I hit double metal, and I went into both metal. Ah!
It dented the other side.
All right, what apparently happened here is I've got a hole which I thought was quite shallow, but I felt it stop. And what we've done is we've hit the second brace in here of 20 gauge steel, and it bent it back out and dimpled it, so it almost made it through. It's got a nice hole.
You can see where the point was.
Cut the metal on the backside, I can feel it.
Yeah, and it was trying to come through.
Yeah, if I would have not had that there, I would think we would have had one just as deep as before, if not a hair deeper, because I was trying to give full force. It actually hurts to throw it that hard.
Wow.
And it is a sliding throw, but it's to be controlled. It's not to
be loose. And what's the normal gauge on a Dodge van?
20 gauge, for sure.
So you almost went through two 20 gauge sheets with a bronze spearhead.
2 millimeters of steel.
That's awesome.
Now, as we say, it's not as impressive as the one we hit down here, but that's because it got stopped.
Again,
this did not stop it. It was one of the axis.
So what do you think would happen if you hit somebody with just a curacao or something that's made with maybe some bronze or something?
If it was light bronze, I think that this would at least be a wound like this, if not more, and they'd be wounded.
Yeah, what about the impact through armor?
The impact, yes, I think it would bend, and I think you would get a lot of the shock into the internal organs and stuff. The idea of this hitting a helmet, this is one thing that I want to bring up that people don't understand. If it actually catches, the point catches in the metal in your helmet, even though it doesn't go into your skull or deep enough to actually pierce deep into your skull, but it hits the helmet, you know how much force goes to the neck if it actually pierces into the metal? We're talking about enough force to injure the neck, plus it's not going to skip off or glance. All the force is going directly into your neck. So that could lay a man out right there just from the whiplash effect or vertebra damage in the back of the neck just from the impact. So that would be more damaging to me than I think of something skipping off, you know, and just rocking my head a little bit. It's not a big deal. But if the point actually catches, which this apparently can cut into other bronze and steel apparently, then yeah, you would transfer a lot more energy. So yeah, it's very damaging. That would hurt, even through a breastplate. Especially something like this if it went into you. Might be an instant kill, but there'd be lots of blood loss. Ah! Oh crap, I hit the same hole.
No, you did?
Yeah. Well, I was aiming for about the same spot, but I didn't think it would actually hit there.
That's some Robin Hood stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, it actually cut a separate hole into the other hole, which probably makes it look a lot wider than it is, but if you look at it, it was the same size hole, just...
Yeah. Well,
and you saw it on the other side.
Yep. No, I mean, we have photographic evidence. That's like Robin Hood or something, man.
That was cool. Well, the other one I did potentially try a little higher, just didn't know we had metal on the back. I wasn't trying to hit 2 layers because this is bronze and you do have it self-consciously in your mind that it might get damaged. But I'm sorry, this bronze is getting me so confident I'm not afraid of damaging it at this point, even though Neil has told me on the phone that back in the day they find pieces of bronze broken off inside people, you know, off the tip of the spear, but that may be from hammer hardening, you know, like maybe they hardened it too much. I think he's got his just right. I mean, it's not to the point where it's breaking or bending, and it's sharp enough to cut the steel, so I'm impressed.
All right, we're on.
Ready?
Ready.
Ah! Okay, let's see what we got. We got something. We got something. So apparently it does have some force. The other one didn't do anything. This one gave us... oh, we got a tip in. Yeah, give a little force to the guy.
Kind of let down on that one.
Yeah, it's nothing like the stuff where we got holes like that. It would almost go through 2 pieces now.
All right.
All right, in this technique, it's held up under the arm, and I can pull it way back in the idea of it. This is so I can kind of cradle it to hold it if I'm having trouble holding it up, because it's kind of like holding a lance out here. And that's one of the things I don't like about it, because somebody could come in and easily see, it's telegraphed where you're aiming, and a headshot's coming up. No matter what I do, my headshot's pretty much kind of coming up. I mean, even if I try to, I lose power when I try to come over with a spear. It's balanced like a pool cue. But let's not worry about that. Let's just worry about how much power we have. So what I'm going to do is try to bring it way back to get more power, put more hip into it, and make sure I'm within range. So if you look how much distance the spear is actually traveling to the target, I don't have a lot of distance to get acceleration going. So for this to work and me get anything through this, it's kind of like punching a dagger through somebody. I have to use my body and my hips to twist into it. So let's see what I can do. Try to give this everything I got. Ah! We keep getting the same kind of things. We've been playing around with it, and we keep getting, I don't know what you consider that, maybe a 1/4 inch of penetration, actual depth, but I don't know. I'm not seeing the same kind of power coming from that. So I do agree the throwing motion is probably the only way to get a major penetration or an enormous amount of force on the initial impact. Because this, I mean, of course, you know, everybody wants to bring up the idea of pushing it afterwards. But if something gets stuck in metal or some kind of armor or protective covering, a lot of times you're not going to push it through afterwards. You're going to just push the guy back and away from you. That's the only thing I see about it. Whereas if the guy was here, even if he was trying to back up away from you, it's not going to stop enough the acceleration to keep it from piercing him his lithothorax, his whatever you want to consider it, whatever he's wearing at the time, hard leather with cloth, cloth with bronze, it's going to go through, in my opinion. There's a good chance. I mean, there's good enough armor that will stop it. I know that. But as you say, this is going to be a lot more damage if you happen to hit armor. Oh! Now, that's what a full throw would do, and that would be a full penetration, like I would say a kill. And people put down throwing weapons, saying that they don't have that much force, and this didn't damage the bronze of it. But I think in the time of the Iliad, when he talks about it, when they were using bronze, in the good old days, which they had iron too at the time, but it just wasn't as good supposedly, or at least in the Middle Ages they did. I honestly believe that the spear and the javelin were synonymous. I mean, they used almost the same techniques. So in their mind, a javelin and a spear were kind of interchangeable. Now later on, I think they went to heavier, longer spears in combat. But I think it's also an advent of armor getting tougher, and they needed more mass behind the weapon to generate the force it takes to pierce it. But like a throw right there, you can see that would definitely pierce bronze and into somebody and kill them. And that was a full out throw, not an overarm slide, which of course is not going to have all the power, but it could still technically generate almost the same power. So I think we've proven today that that is a more powerful technique. It has more armor piercing ability, and that bronze stands up really well even against steel. I think this is a great day. What do you think? Hope you all enjoyed it. Please subscribe to our channel. Like us on Facebook at the Well of Remembrance Facebook page. Send us a request if you want to be part of our Thrand boat crew on Facebook, a closed group, and help us on Patreon if you can. Farewell.